Okay, here we are Saturday afternoon for the backyard tour. Just off the back of the house is the new garden reel I installed, or hose reel. We got our chives, fiddleheads, herbs. Here's a new rain barrel I put off the eaves trough to collect some of the rain there. Hooked up to an irrigation hose. We got some more herbs at the end of the bed here. And here are our tomato plants for the year and some marigolds planted. At the end there's a little berry bush by the fence. Then this is the bed that I put in on the other side all the way down the fence to there. So here we have just a little kale and lettuce, and then starting here with the netting and then the protective bird netting, because the birds keep eating them, or they did last year, is the pea section of the garden. So here's all the peas along here. You can see them starting to just come up. Planted those about 2 weeks ago. Here we come to our first tree in the yard. That's our largest. It's the apricot tree. Once we're down here, here's the little sour cherry tree that we have. I put in a little block there, so if we want to pick on the tree, we can step across the garden. Then over here, it's got a ways to go, but there's our little strawberry patch. So there's all our little strawberry plants. Then we get to the end of the garden. I have a little bird feeder down there. There's a bird hopping around the yard that can't fly just yet, so I put him out. Here's the older apple tree. It's right here. It's two different kinds of apples. It's blossoming right now, you can see. We put a little bed with some climbing vines that grow up this little cage. And if you look right there, I don't know if anybody's home right now, that hole is a little nest of birds that fly around the backyard. Anyway, he's doing okay, but there's lots of old rotten parts to that tree. It's been around for a while. In the corner here we have our third attempt at growing some rosemary. We brought some in last year that was doing quite well, and then it died inside over the winter, so trying again. A nice little bench with some flower pots that Joe put together last weekend. Then we have here our 3 raised beds that used to be benches and tables that I converted into raised beds. We're going to put some bush beans in those so we don't have to bend as much to pick them. Then here we are at the main garden. At the end of the garden is the raspberry bushes. We just finished our second planting. So 2 weeks ago we planted all of the first side of the garden, and then today we planted the second half closest to me. And then I just laid out the soaker hoses, which drip water once hooked up here. The beans from last week are doing quite well. You can see them just starting to pop up there. And some of the other plants, spinach and kale and Swiss chard, are just starting to show signs of coming up as well. So then here's the raspberries that we moved to the end of the garden, and I just till them to keep them at bay every year. We set up another rain barrel for the garden that runs off of the garage roof there. Just got to get a hose to connect it to the irrigation hoses. Here's our big double compost bin and the sifter screen that I used to sift it this summer. This is last year's stuff that's going good, and this side is the side I emptied and is now collecting all the new compost. This is some sod and gardening soil we've got delivered and that I've dug up that I'm dealing with to create the new garden beds and flower beds. Oh, there's Jo out watering her freshly planted beans. So then this side of the lawn is where I added these 4 high bush blueberry bushes. I cut out the sod that you saw back there, put in the divider, put down the weed barrier and mulched it. Here is so these are the trees. Here's the third apple tree with the little gnome. It's the smaller of the two. It's the youngest one. It's doing okay. Try to get morning glories to grow in the bed around the base. Over here on this back side of the garage, we have our yellow rose bushes. They haven't blossomed yet, but they come out pretty early, and there's some other plants and stuff, so they're pretty nice. That tree right there coming under the fence is a Saskatoon berry tree or bush. The one next to it is a plum tree by the fence. It's got 2 kinds of plums, but the one side there hasn't been doing well. It's I'm not sure if it's dying off or what, but it's barely got any blossoms or leaves this year. Then we have the fire pit by the backyard and the chairs. Got another little cherry bush. Neighbors are all out there barbecuing. We got the AC and the big barbecue right by the back door or sliding door. There's the clothesline from the garage to the house. Jo was just bringing in the laundry that we did today. Over here by the back door side entrance is our mint patch, already doing quite well. Lots of mint for drinks and salads and stuff. On this side is where we try to grow basil. I might have to get some more. Those guys are looking pretty sad. And then just got some more flowers and grasses. They have been coming back. We didn't plant those. They were just there when we moved in, and we've been letting them come back each year. They're pretty good. Another barrel of annuals that Jo put together last weekend. Here's some more flowers by the side door, and we cut these ones back in order to get this bleeding heart plant in, which we just put in last year, and it's come back and it's doing really well. Yep. Then the gate to the front side of the house. Here's another rain barrel I got installed for the front side of the house. You can see sunflowers. All of these that grow up this netting are sweet peas. We planted them, and they're starting to come up there now. That's the front planter. Here's the front door with the welcome basket we put out each year, and then another planter by the other side of the door. Some of the cut off eaves trough that I was modifying to put in the rain barrels. On the other side of the door we got the other sunflower Jo planted and a few peas, sweet peas. Then there is the front bed under the window here. It has all the lavender that's starting to grow back in the spring. It looks pretty dead initially, but then those branches start to green up, and I hooked up some irrigation hose to this rain barrel, which we put in over here on the corner of the house. This bed that I bricked in has hollyhocks that come back every year in the corner by the chimney. And then I, over here by the fence, added a little bed for some flowers that Joe planted. I think peonies. They haven't come up yet. This corner fence is right in the corner where the tomatoes and peas are. And then the last planter is the large planter in the front of the house with all the haskellberry bushes. So all of these guys I pruned earlier this year, they've already blossomed. They're doing quite well. You can even see, if you look closely, there's the green berries that eventually get purple and are like a big sour blueberry. And then the tree in the center of it is, I believe, another apricot tree that they bought to help pollinate the back one in the backyard. Yeah. And then our path up to the house has the lamp with another pot that Joe put together last weekend of some nice flowers. And there you have it from the sidewalk, the front of our home, and a tour of the backyard. Well, that's all for now.